Hello everyone, it's Vicki Verley here, Rock and Roll Prophetess. I'm going to do just a real short video about a few pretty cool synchronicities that happened here recently. Two having to do with messages from people that have passed on, and one having to do with sort of like a predictive or some kind of message from spirit. I'm going to start with the first one. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Etsy. I love Etsy. You know, it's this huge artist's place, and you know, I sell on Etsy and I try to buy from Etsy too. Currently, actually, all my Etsy shops are closed, but they'll be opening up soon. I always have the links below the videos. But I was looking for a birthday card. I just wanted to illustrate here. I put in the Etsy search birthday card. Came up with 240,499 results. So basically, 250,000 results. And so I was looking for a birthday card. Maybe I may have refined it a little, but there was tons and tons. It's like this, pages and pages. So, you know, I was just sitting there one night looking for a birthday card, just kind of browsing through all the cool stuff on Etsy, and go by this picture of with this little girl on it. And I went past, I even went to the let's say this is it, even though it's not, you know, I kind of saw it, and then you know, I'm on to the next page. You know, I went to the next page on here in the search, and then something was nagging at me. It goes, well, there's something familiar about that picture. So I went back. I go back. Let's go back and look at that picture again. What was it, you know? And it wasn't on the first or second page either. I was like probably watching TV or listening to YouTube videos while I'm browsing Etsy, you know, for hours probably, sitting there messing around. Anyways, the picture that it was, the card it was, I'm going to open it up. It was this card, this greeting card with this old picture on it. And I'm going, boy, something was drawing it to me, and it was little. It was like we just saw. It was in those little tiny, you know, like icons or whatever they're called. So I'm like, well, what is it? I go, I know what it is. That face, that reminds me of that picture of my mom when she was little. Now, my family, mom's family, there wasn't a lot of money. There isn't a lot of pictures around of any of them. And her mother, my grandmother, you know, her house burned down as a child, and she was even an orphanage, so there's like no pictures of her when she was a child. But I'm looking, I go, boy, that kind of reminds me of that picture of my mom when, you know, she was little. Out of 250,000 pictures, mind you, on Etsy, right? And I'm looking at it, and I go, I wonder, because there was my grandmother, who was raised in an orphanage, all the stuff I just said. I remember her always saying that she used to pose for pictures when she was a little kid. They would try to have her pose for pictures to get people to adopt children and whatever. I go, oh, could that be Grandma of all people? You know, I mean, I guess it could be. And so, first thing I did is I wrote the shop owner. I go, you're never going to believe this. I think this might be a picture of my grandmother. Do you have any other information on it? So she was really cool. She wrote me right back. She says, you know, no, I don't. It's just a group of photos that are in public domain now because they're so old. She says it's probably, the only thing I can tell you, it's really probably dated by the 1920s. She goes, and she was so nice, she went ahead and sent me the original with no embellishments. This is the original photo. And then even found another, well, actually I think she just sent me this first. So then my uncle is still living. You know, my uncle, my mom's brother. If this is Olga, which was my grandmother, her one of her sons, well, a couple of her sons are living, but her oldest son is still living, Uncle Richard. So I emailed it to Uncle Richard. I go, is there any way that could be Grandma? He wrote me back right away. He goes, that's absolutely Grandma. He says, I remember, because he had seen some of these pictures before they were destroyed in the fire or whatever. He had seen some of these pictures. But he confirmed it immediately. He knew that it was her. And then I wrote the lady back who had the Etsy shop, and she was kind enough to even, she goes, I think I have another one. And she even went back and found another one of the same little girl, my grandma, you know, reaching out like 100 years in the past to find me again. As I'm about to, as some of you may or may not have known, you know, I've been having all these health issues, which are behind me now. And actually a lot of this stuff ties into the health issues. I was going to do, there was so many magical things that happened along this journey. I was going to do a video just on that, but I've decided to break it down into a few different videos. This real quick one on synchronicity, then I'm going to do a parallel universe one, which came into play big time during all this health stuff. And then I'm going to do another one about animal totems, just as it related to the health crisis, because it was pretty amazing, the animal totem stuff that was happening too. But anyways, here's my grandmother. This is her. This is my grandmother. Out of 250,000 little tiny pictures on Etsy, I find a picture of my grandmother just as this health crisis thing is about to take place. So that was pretty freaking amazing. And it was so tiny, I didn't even, you know, I passed it by. I went by the page and something compelled me to go back. So that's how these little messages work too, just for a message for everybody. You know, you might think, oh, well, so what? You know, but it's not so what. It's totally is your people coming to say hello and, you know, peek in and say we're with you or whatever. It's just a message letting them know you're here. Now, the next thing about messages knowing we're here, this was a message from my brother. Believe it or not. I blurred out some of the particulars on this. This is just a receipt from the grocery store, right? But the two bold things in text here, we've got the number 128 and then we've got the number 068. Now, my family, when my mom had the bar, you know, everybody played the numbers. My mom was a bookie. We all played the numbers. And my brother's birthday was December 8th, 12/8, but his number is 128. Okay, his number is always 128. So here in bold letters we have his number, 128, and then he was born in the year 68. So then the other bold number in the receipt is 068. And of course, because 128 was there, I had to play it, and it did come in like a day or two later. It came in a box, so I won like $40. But it was not even about, oh, I was going to win all this money. It was just these little tiny things. That's my brother. I see 128, I know that's my brother. And he even backed it up with another another backup synchronicity by having the year he was born there, 68. So that was another cool one. This one is the coolest of all. As I mentioned, that I've had these health problems, and I just had another surgery to get myself back together again. But a lot of it had to do with my colon. And during the time I was making some mosaic, I was getting a lot more into art here lately. I go on binges like that. I'll be in an art binge, and then I'll be on a music binge, and then I'll just want to do writing, you know. But I've been in this major visual art binge and doing mosaics a lot again. And I ordered, this is just an advertisement picture of these square tiles, square cleared beveled tiles that I ordered off of eBay to do some mosaic work, right? Didn't even notice. I mean, you may have already seen it if you haven't yet, but within this text, this random text that she has as an example just to show that it's, you know, magnifies the text here. It says, colon, good. I didn't catch it at first. Some reminder came like your order is shipped or something, and it showed this picture and it says colon good. And of course that's not the real text. It says Colonel something, you know, that might even be goddess, you know, or something else. But talk about a message. And I'll tell you what, when I was going in for the final surgery here, I had this visual in my head, and I was just saying that over and over again, colon good, colon good. And it is good, and I'm fine again, and it was totally a message from Spirit. So sometimes these things are just so minor like this that it might just, you know, pass you by without even noticing, but if you slow down and take a minute. Yeah, so when you see these little signposts, these little synchronicities, if you slow down sometimes, synchronicities are happening all around us. You know, most people would see this and just throw it out, or, you know, not even notice these words were there. I didn't notice it for a long time. So not only for me, but for everybody, the universe is always talking to you. And speaking of that, I'm looking forward to doing a lot more of the universe broadcasts from the universe coming up here. I got the charts to do in the October readings, but then I really want to get back into the broadcast from the universe because I really enjoy doing that. And as I said, I got a few topics coming up. If you want to get a hold of me, maybe you can go to my home page here, Rock and Roll Prophetess, and go into the About section. And it brings up all the major links. The Tapestry of Life Mandalas, which is the art, how to order readings, how to donate, a link to the Tarot in the Modern World book, and then of course my other channels are here on the right. Okay, so this is Vicki Verley signing out. Remember that you're love and beauty incarnate, and be on the lookout for those everyday magical synchronicities. I'll talk to you soon.